Hey Pilgrims, coming to you from Leon, Spain to give you your weekly update. So stay tuned. Day 18 was about a 23-kilometer day from something de Cueza to Sahagun. And Sahagun is the kind of official halfway point of the Camino Frances. Not starting from St. John in France, but starting from Roncesvalles to Santiago. Sahagun is right in the middle. So I think I added a little bit to the end of that video where I showed you where I actually crossed through um, that halfway point. That day was pretty sunny. It was similar to the day before in that, actually it wasn't similar to the day before at all. I remember this day as being a lot more of what I expected from the Meseta. Lots of wildflowers, lots of flat walking, but just very picturesque. I walked mostly by myself that day, which was kind of nice. Got to reflect on everything that I was looking at, and I think I showed you the difference between the two types of pavements. And there was a lot more of the white rock than there was the brown rock, and which is nice because then, I feel a little more comfortable on the white surface so that I could lift my head up and actually look and see what's going on around me. But no, that was a really good day. I did enjoy that. And that leads us to day 19. So day 19 was about a 17-kilometer day from Sahagun to El Burgo Ranera. And that day was very overcast and gloomy and not a whole lot to see as far as like anything picturesque. There's a lot of walking along a path with some trees on one side and then the road on the other. So I was able to think a lot about just stuff in general, kind of work through some things in my head. Mostly walked by myself that day. However, in the morning, I did meet this nice lady, Kelly, who we chit-chatted a little bit while we were getting out of town. And thankfully, she showed me which route I was supposed to take that day. There were two routes to choose from. They were roughly about the same kilometer, the same distance, but in order for me to get to my lodging that night, I had to take one as opposed to the other. And so she set me straight and set me on the right route. So that I was grateful. There's one other lady on the trail that I keep running into, and she's probably the only person I'm ever able to pass. And that's because apparently she's got really bad back problems. She's in her 70s, and apparently she and her husband used to be really active, and I guess the last couple of years she's really had some back issues, but she refuses to sit still and stay home and do nothing. So, with a bad back, why not walk the Camino? And so she does. And she's super slow, but she gets there, and she's very proud of herself for all of her accomplishments. And I don't blame her because you can tell she's in pain when she's walking. She has to stop like every so often. But there's been a lot of people who have kind of slowed down their walking pace to chit chat with me from time to time. So I decided that this time I would slow down my pace and have a nice conversation with her. I mean, I usually would check in on her from time to time. I'd be like, hey, how are you doing today? How's the back? But I actually slowed down and we had a nice conversation and got to know her. Her name is Marcia, and she raised her daughter in the Jacksonville area, so she knew a lot about, where I was from and everything. So that was kind of nice, and we had we met at the first pit stop and chatted some more, so that was kind of nice. But then the rest of the day, like I said, I pretty much walked alone and just was real introspective. So that was day 19. Day 20 was very similar to day 19 as far as um, what I was looking at, the trees and the road and the trail. But you could see at this point, and this is leaving El Burgo Ranera going to Mansilla. you could see in the distance the upcoming mountains that we're going to have to climb in order to get to Santiago. So once I'm done with the Meseta, yes, there will be more hills. So hopefully my body's ready for them. But so I could see those looming in the distance. But this day was very similar to the day before. It was overcast, cool. The sun did start to break, towards the end of the day. There wasn't a lot of support that day, so there was like one stop that was about, I guess, if it was like about a 12-kilometer day, it was like maybe 7 miles in was the first stop, and I ran into Kelly. And I think I forgot to mention she has a husband that's walking with her, but he's been so deathly ill since they've started walking the Camino that he spent most of it in the hotels. But he was actually walking that day, and I got to meet him, so that was kind of nice. And there were these other guys that I have met from time to time. They're from North Carolina. And I remember them because one of them was really fascinated with my hair color. I don't know why, but I assumed that they were brothers. Turns out they're married to each other, which explains why they're so into my hair color. But that last 3 miles, they actually walked with me to our next stop because they also booked with Camino Ways, so we were staying in a lot of the same places. But we had lunch, so that was kind of nice. That I didn't just immediately pull into town and go straight to my room and just hibernate for a while. I actually went into the town. We walked around a little bit. We went into one of the churches, and then we stopped off for lunch. And I just thought that was kind of cool. But they were busing ahead the next day to Leon instead of walking there. So if I see them again, I'm not sure if that'll happen. I didn't check to see how similar our itineraries are. I know that they're getting to Santiago a couple days after me, so they're taking some extra rest days or something. But hopefully I'll see them again. They're a lot of fun. That day, like I said, kind of very similar to the day before. The sun did come out towards the end. It was a little more picturesque than day 19, but that was day 20. Which brings us to day 21, which was Mansilla to Leon. It was another 19-kilometer or about 12-mile day. I walked mostly by myself, but I did run into this lady whose name was Peggy, which was short for Margaret. I thought that was kind of cool. I also ran into another couple that I hadn't seen in about 3 or 4 days, and it was kind of nice to see them again. Now that I think about it, I haven't seen my Swedish French friends in probably 3 days. So I kind of, when I booked this through Camino Ways, I stretched out some of these 30-kilometer days into like more of like a 10-10-10 kind of deal. I don't know. So I guess we're just not on the same itinerary anymore. I hope I do run into them again because I feel like we didn't say a proper goodbye. But coming into town, again, kind of a lot of road walking, but you could see Leon in the distance, and it just kept getting closer and closer and closer and closer, and that was kind of cool. Because to be honest with you, I had half a mind to join the the guys from North Carolina and just take a bus. I just wasn't feeling like walking, but it was good that I did. It was a nice walk. I felt strong. I do remember thinking in my head, wow, okay, I actually do feel strong today, which is good because again, you could see the mountains, the impending mountains in the distance that you're going to have to climb. So today is technically a rest day, so it's not day 22. It's rest day number 1 in Leon, and I'm going to go out and take a look around town, take some pictures, probably throw them into a video with all of this summary, and see what I can see. I'll tell you this, just initial reaction walking in. I think Burgos was a much prettier town, but you know, I also know that there's a lot of kind of construction going on. So they're doing a lot of repairs, they're doing a lot of upkeep, they're doing a lot of new building in Leon. So maybe eventually it will look a lot better. But right now there's just like a lot of stuff roped off and different types of, you know, building vehicles, and I don't know. I'm going to go to the cathedral and I'm going to spend some time there and just walk around. It is kind of cool. It does remind you of like a small New York, except without all of the tall buildings and skyscrapers. But we'll see what today brings. At least give my body a rest and then be on the way tomorrow for day 22. But again, I want to say thanks for following, and I love and miss you all. Bye.